Happy New Year, world! You're watching the 47th episode of World Humanitarian Drive's Inspiring Million Show. This is the show where we celebrate brilliant minds from around the world who share with us their story, one story at a time. Warmest welcome to a fresh new year, 2022. Today, get motivated to live your best and healthiest life. We're joined by Zuby, host of Real Talk with Zuby podcast, rapper, author, podcaster, and coach from the United Kingdom. We'll get to know his inspiring story in a short while. Thank you for joining us live or on replay. I'm Viva Andrada O'Flynn, your host and Global Media Relations of World Humanitarian Drive. World Humanitarian Drive, also known as WHD, is an international NGO founded in Croydon, UK, by British Indian global peace activist, entrepreneur, writer, Dr. Abdul Basit Saeed. The primary vision of WHD is to promote peace, education, and trade harmony initiatives globally among everyone across the world, regardless of race, gender, religion, nationality, unvaccinated or vaccinated, living as one family. WHD is striving for humanity. This Inspiring Million Show is your show. As always, we encourage you to engage and interact with us. Please help us spread inspiration to the world by sharing this link. Put your questions that you would like to ask our guest, Zuby, greetings or comments that you have for us in the comments box. We would love to read them later on in the show. Let us also know where you are watching this, wherever you are in the world. Let us keep you company and brighten your day as we share peace, love, and goodwill. The Christmas holidays are over. It's a brand new year. We're on the first month and first week of the year. There are some of us who have holiday hangover and are suffering the January blues. For some of us, a fresh start is just what we need. This is Inspiring Million Show. And certainly, our special guest today is inspiring millions around the world through his various social media accounts. So we're starting the year strong with Zuby, an independent rapper, author, podcast host, public speaker, and creative entrepreneur with over 1 million followers on social media. So what better way to introduce Zuby than to share with you his music? Let's all take a journey back in time, about 10 years ago, when the world was much simpler with Zuby song coming at ya. Let's watch this video.
Coming at ya. Bounce down, disaster. Coming at ya. At ya. Tell you it's master. Coming at ya. Coming at ya. Bounce down, disaster. Coming at ya. At ya. Tell you it's master. Coming at ya.
I want 1 billion fans, so I need 1 million first. I'ma gain another thou to stop the sickness of this verse. Even when I'm smiling sweetly, look at Zuby as a threat, or you'll get on before you see me like a noob in FPS. No button combination lets you cheat the game of life. Rappers looking in my pad, they think I'm cheating on the mic. But this girl's my one and only, and she never leaves me lonely. When I wanna beat it down, she's always waiting to bestow me. Spread the love like bigamy, so passionate with metrics. Bars cannot belittle me, a style is anorexic. That means you think you're big, I hear you talking all aggressive, but you barking never bite and say your mark is unimpressive. My vision's not a dream, I'm motivated to achieve it. You want a food for thought and I'm providing it, so eat it. I wrote this in my sleep, I mean it, no exaggeration. Even scheming when I'm dreaming, I don't waste imagination.
Coming at ya. Bounce down, disaster. Coming at ya. At ya. Tell you it's master. Coming at ya. Coming at ya. Bounce down, disaster. Coming at ya. At ya. Tell you it's master. Coming at ya.
Show love when I come through, I get respect cause I'm Millie. And the ladies love me too, like they love sex in the city. Say I'm blessed and I'm silly, but don't object cause I'm pretty. And always say I'm kinda cocky, but they know I'm kinda witty. And you know on my committee, it's just me, myself and I. 3 of my favorite rappers and a little book of rhymes. I got a lot of hustle, but ain't got a lot of time. Money's got a lot of muscle, so it's all about the grind. Take a different policy, I'll turn and pen a prophecy. My brilliance is vivid, but it's rivaled by my modesty. Honestly, I think I'm like the hottest walking property, but realized as a teen that there's no dream guarantee. So awkwardly I started on my music hustle properly, and still I had the brains to get an Oxford degree. Yes, sir. So think before you talk to me, you're tripping if you walk to me. I'm moving twice as fast like rolling doubles in Monopoly.
Coming at ya, rhyme style disaster. Coming at ya, bad at ya. Tell you it's master. Coming at ya, coming at ya. Rhyme style disaster. Coming at ya, bad at ya. Tell you it's master. Coming at ya.
They're colder than December when they see you at the bottom. I'm living through my music, when I die won't be forgotten. I don't praise the mighty dollar, and heard that fame is stressful. I don't need to be a baller, I just wanna be successful. Hard to stand out from the crowd, but there's a possibility I could rise above the clouds beyond the probability. Can I do it all and keep my soul in credibility? Or do I have to sell it all to buy acceptability? Consciousness is killing me, God-given ability to entertain a crowd that's with my mental volatility. A lot of people see me, but despite the visibility, for ones who truly know me, I've got slim availability. You can always call and smile if you don't reach me. It means I'm on my grind so you can see me on the TV. And I'ma call you back soon as the beat is finished knocking. But I'm up and out the door when opportunity is knocking.
Coming at ya, rhyme style disaster. Coming at ya, bad at ya. Tell you it's master. Coming at ya, coming at ya. Rhyme style disaster. Coming at ya, bad at ya. Tell you it's master. Coming at ya.
So here is Zuby, rapper, author, podcaster, entrepreneur, and coach coming at ya. Zuby, welcome and thank you very much for joining us today. So how are you, Zuby?
I am blessed and highly favored as always, Viva. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. So how was your Christmas and New Year's holiday, Zuby?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I'd been traveling for several months during the summer and autumn period. And then I came back to the UK. I spent Christmas with my parents, my brothers and their families. So it was great to see family and hang out with my nieces and nephews, my parents, my siblings. And it was really positive. It was really positive. Yeah, been on the road for a long time, for about 4 months straight, traveled to a few different countries, spent a lot of time in the USA, Mexico, Turkey. So it was good. And I'm just about to prepare to go on another adventure.
That's great. That's so great, Zuby. So could you please give us a backstory? What do you consider the most important highlights of your life that led you to be the multi-talented, multi-skilled person that you are today?
Wow. Okay. Well, in terms of my background, so I was born in England. I grew up in Saudi Arabia, moved over there when I was just a baby, and I went to school there from preschool all the way up until 5th grade, until I was about 11 years old. When I was there, I went to an international school, so a lot of my teachers and friends and people around me were from all over the world. Lots of my teachers were Americans, so anyone who's wondering why I'm English, but I have this accent, it's actually because I grew up in Saudi Arabia in that way. I went to boarding school from the age of 11, did really well in school, got into Oxford University, studied computer science, and I started rapping when I was at Oxford. I released my first album when I was in my second year, so about 10 months after making my first song, I started selling my music, started gigging and touring. And over the course of time, I have developed it I went full time in November 2011. So I've been self-employed for over 10 years now. And in 2019, I started my podcast. I wrote and released my first book, Strong Advice, Zuby's Guide to Fitness for Everybody. I had some of my posts go very viral, and really 2019 was a huge turning point. So 2006 was my first album that was Commercial Underground. And then 2019 was when stuff really started to accelerate for me. So 15 years of grind have gone into everything that you see thus far. And it's been a heck of a journey, but I'm blessed to be connected to so many great people and to be able to motivate and inspire people all over the world.
Thank you, Zuby, for giving us information about that. So you're the host of Real Talk with Zuby. So could you tell us more about your podcast?
Yeah, sure. So I love doing music, but I love a lot of things. And one thing I love is conversation. I love intellectual conversation. I love going into different ideas and trying to understand the world, understand the people in it, understand the systems that are in place, and how we can live and navigate in this world and resolve conflict and deal with everything else. So this goes into all sorts of realms: society, culture, politics, religion, morals, ethics, social dynamics. I'm really interested in all of that stuff, and I have been for a while. So I wanted to start my podcast so that I could get those ideas out there and also talk to and learn from different people. One of the best things about doing a podcast, as someone who interviews people, is that you get to talk to interesting and intelligent people with a lot of different experiences, perspectives, and viewpoints. And that also makes you smarter. And to anyone who is listening, it gives them the opportunity to be educated, be inspired, be entertained. And I believe that I'm on this earth to inspire and motivate as many people as possible through my talents, through my actions, through my words. Those are the blessings that I've been given. Those are the talents that I have. And so I'm trying to maximize that. And I'm also trying to encourage other people to do the same for themselves. We all have different talents and capacities and blessings and skills. And I believe that if each individual can strive to make the most of that and to maximize it and to be of service to other human beings, then that's truly how we change the world and make it a better place.
So Zuby, you're a rapper. How do you find your inspiration?
Man, that's a question I get asked a lot. Honestly, it's from just living my life and observing the world. There is no shortage of inspiration and stuff to talk about. I mean, I've been through a lot. I have my own personal story. And then as you're living life and you're traveling and meeting other people and reading and watching and learning, you're constantly just taking in new information and trying to work things out. So it may sound like a bit of a cliche, but honestly, I'm inspired by everything. I'm just inspired by living an interesting life. And every song I make, every album I make in particular, is really a snapshot of where I am in my life at that particular time. And so that's where it comes from for me. And due to, having the talent and ability to write songs and to put my thoughts and words out there in a particular fashion, I just represent myself. And both in everything I do, in my writing and my podcasting and my music, I'm also just trying to work things out as well. I do a lot of thinking out loud. So whether I'm tweeting or I'm talking like right now, or I'm doing a public speech or I'm rapping, I'm sort of thinking out loud. I am putting across my ideas and my opinions, but I'm also opening up a conversation as well.
So what is your creative process like? How do you come up with the words and the beat?
Yeah, so I don't make beats. I work with different producers who make the beats and the instrumentals. But once I have got those, then I honestly just sit and I listen to it and words come to me. I normally start with the flow, and then I work at how I'm going to rap, how fast, what the tempo is, what the flow is going to be like. And then I put the words to it. So that's kind of the order. There are artists who write the lyrics first, and then they do the instrumentation afterwards, or they find a beat that fits. With me, I like to start with the music because that's really going to determine the vibe of the song and also the content. And then if a beat really vibes with me, then I just start writing.
So you're also an author. Could you tell us more about your book, Strong Advice?
Sure. So it's a fitness book. So the full title is Strong Advice, Zuby's Guide to Fitness for Everybody. So amongst all the other things that I do, I'm also really into training. I've been going to the gym for 2 decades now, and it's been something that's been very powerful and transformative for me in my life, especially as someone who started out not being in great shape. So I wanted to write the book that I wish somebody gave me when I was 15 and I'd first started going to the gym. So it covers mindset, motivation, nutrition, and training, which are the core things that you need, whatever your goal is, whether you're trying to build muscle, lose fat, gain weight, lose weight, get stronger, whatever your physique or fitness goal is, these are the main components. And so I go into it, and it's really a book based around principles. It's really about principles rather than trying to give people an exact recipe or cookie cutter, one size fits all things. It's really understanding the basics of, how do you get stronger? How do you lose fat? Like what are the principles that matter if you're trying to do this or you're trying to do that? How do you set it up for your goal and then work on that in a consistent fashion? And also, what are the mindset elements that will help you to not just get started, but to keep going? Because as we all know, it's quite easy to start things, but it's harder to keep them going, and you need to build the habits. So I talk about building habits, overcoming obstacles, dealing with hurdles, that kind of stuff. So it's a concise book. It's a quick read. It's not something that I didn't want to write a gigantic textbook that nobody is going to get through. I wanted to write a relatively short book that is concise, straight to the point, and people can read it multiple times and they can go back to it and reference it, and it can help them to get on track and stay on track.
So, Zuby, what are your top tips to achieve fitness? Just the top tips.
Top tips for fitness?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Wow, that's so general. My top tip would be, number one, to get moving, to get started. A lot of times people suffer from what you could call analysis paralysis, which is seeking perfection to the point of procrastination. So instead of, just starting out exercising or starting out eating better, people want to have the perfect plan and they want to do infinite amounts of research, and really they're procrastinating and they're spending too much time doing all of that. You can kind of get started with most diets and training programs work to some degree as long as the basic principles are being met. So I recommend to people to just get started. In terms of mindset, I recommend to people to understand their why. Know why you're doing what you're doing. If your goal is to get stronger, if your goal is to lose weight, if your goal is to get fitter, whatever it is, understand on a deep level why you're doing it. Because if you understand why you're doing it, it's going to be a lot easier to stay motivated and to stay consistent with it. Oftentimes people do things, but they don't really know why they're doing them. And if you don't know why you're doing it, then it's going to be hard to stick with it, especially when it gets difficult. And there are certainly going to be times on a fitness journey where things are going to get difficult. Another thing I would say would be to apply what you already know. So oftentimes the issue people have isn't necessarily, sometimes it's with knowledge, but it's not always with knowledge. It's with application of that knowledge. Most people on a basic level know approximately what foods are healthy. Everybody knows that they should exercise. Whether or not they're doing it is another matter, right? There's nobody who, everyone knows the basics, but they don't necessarily apply them. So those would be some general things I could say. Of course, in my book, I go into more detail on all of this, but those would be a couple things that I think are generally applicable and would be helpful to everybody out there.
So now let's talk about your music. Your new album, your 6th album, is out now. It's called Word of Zuby. So what is your music and what is your new album about?
Sure. So as I was explaining before, my albums reflect a snapshot of where I am at any given moment in time. So a lot has happened between 2019 and now. So my previous album, Perseverance, that came out at the beginning of 2019. And so the Word of Zuby it touches on a lot of stuff that I have experienced and been through this rise in my career and fame and success to some degree, and also just where the world is. There's been a lot of stuff going on in the world, social issues, cultural issues, political stuff. So on this album, I get into some of that a little bit more on some of the songs. I used to, in my earlier music, generally avoid talking about anything that could be potentially polarizing or controversial, etc. Whereas on this album, the gloves came off a little bit more, and I speak more openly about that, just like I do on my social media. And then the album's also got some fantastic collaborations on there. I've got artists from the UK, Canada, USA, got some really, really great artists on there. Bryson Gray, Reverie, Jonas, Shouto, Mac Lethal, Anomaly, lot of great artists feature on the album. So I think I do definitely think it is my best album. Um, I know that I don't know. Do artists always think that their most recent work is their best? I don't think they always do, but I do think that this is my best and most developed and most kind of holistic and authentic album to date. I think it's my most polished album to date, and I think the message in it is strong as well. So that is how it came about. I did a Kickstarter campaign for it last year, which was incredibly successful. A lot of people supported it. It's also going to be my first album that comes out on vinyl. I was hoping to have that out by Christmas, but with all the supply chain issues, with all the madness going on in the world, that's been delayed by several months. So the vinyl is going to come out this year. It's going to be a purple and gold vinyl, so it's going to look really cool. And yeah, so breaking some new ground with this one. I've got a lot of music videos out for it as well, and I've got a few more coming.
So now let's talk about Team Zuby shop. So what is available on your online shop?
Of course, my music, my book, t-shirts, hats, hoodies, beanies, wristbands, a range of merchandise. So yeah, I've got my new fully Jackson-hated merchandise, which has been selling well. So that's gym related right there. I've also got my OK Dude merchandise. Of course, I've got my Team Zuby stuff, and there are going to be many more merchandise drops. I love merchandise. I've been doing merch since about 2006. Actually, I've been doing merchandise. It started all with just one T-shirt, and then the brand has grown and grown and grown. And so I love creating. I've been a creative person my entire life. So beyond music, I just love being able to take something from an idea and concept in my head to making it a real tangible product, whether it's a hat, a CD, a t-shirt, a book, whatever it is. I just love that process of going from something that's just floating around in my head to something that people are able to use, wear, interact with, listen to, read, and find some value in it. I think that's just amazing.
So you're also a coach. How do you keep people motivated as a coach?
That's not my job. They need to keep themselves motivated. I think that motivation comes from within. I think that people can inspire you and encourage you, but I think ultimately long-term motivation always has to come internally. And that is something that I reflect to my clients as well. It's something that I say in my book. You have to be able to find your own motivation. And beyond motivation, you also need to be able to form habits, because I always say motivation gets you started, but habit keeps you going. So if you're starting something that's brand new, you might need to hype yourself up a bit and be really motivated to go with it and get started. But ultimately, if you want to keep up anything on a regular basis, you just need to get to the point where it's habitual, just like brushing your teeth or taking a shower, which I hope everybody listening does. So that's really where you want those things to be. And then you don't really need to worry too much about constantly amping yourself up and motivating yourself.
So the merry holidays are done. How do we beat the January blues?
The January blues. You have to stay in motion. You have to stay in motion. You have to live a life that is fulfilling and purposeful. And you have to focus on the positive. You have to practice gratitude regularly. And I largely believe that happiness, to a degree, not entirely, happiness to some degree, to me, is a choice, right? I mean, everything you go through, everything you experience, there are always different ways to frame different situations. And life is full of both joy and sadness. It's full of pleasure. It's full of pain. It's full of great things and horrible things. And a lot of that is uncontrollable, unfortunately. right? As every single day, there's all sorts of crazy things happening all around the world, which we don't directly always have control or influence over. So you can't always control everything that happens in the world or everything that happens to you, but you can control how you react to it. You can control what you consume, not just in terms of your food, but also in terms of what you listen to, what you read, what you watch. All of this stuff has an impact on your psyche. And you can also choose to see the glass as half full or to see it as half empty. Any situation, you can take a pessimistic position or you can take an optimistic position. And I generally am an optimistic person. I'm very much I'm what I call an optimistic realist. So you don't want to deny reality or delude yourself, but you want to be able to see the good in the world. You want to be able to see the optimistic side of things. You also need to have hope. And I think on a day-to-day level, it's important to enjoy your life. It's important to do and to spend time doing things that you enjoy and things that are purposeful and things that are meaningful and things that help other people. And that all tends to be tied together. If you want to make your life a lot better, then you want to be a lot more successful, think about how you can help more people. The more people you can help, then the more content you will be, and also the more successful you will become. If you can help 100 people, that's great. If you can help 1,000 people, even better. You can help 10,000 people, even better. And you will also be rewarded for that in multiple ways. So those are some ways I think people can, not just in January. I know that January is the coldest and one of the darkest of all the months, but if you can maintain that mindset throughout and try to live every day with that purpose, and when you catch yourself slipping into that darkness and into that negativity, to check yourself and to reframe things, and to think about what you've got to be grateful about and to make sure you keep that hope, then I think that's how you beat any form of misery.
And you did say happiness is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about New Year resolutions. Do they work?
If you do. They work if you do. Everything works if you do. Nothing works if you don't, right? Hope is not a strategy. If you just sit, you can't just write something down and hope that it magically is going to happen. You've got to take the actions. And you don't need to wait until New Year's to do this. I don't encourage people to wait until New Year's. I don't really do New Year's resolutions because as soon as I have a resolution, I just start it immediately, which is what people should be doing. So yeah, they work as long as you make them work. If I write down a bunch of stuff on a sheet of paper and then I don't do any of it, then none of it gets done. If I write it down on a sheet of paper or just in my head, and then I take positive action towards it, then I'm certainly going to, at least at the minimum, move closer to those goals. Whether or not I totally achieve them or how long it takes, that can be a different matter, and there's lots of factors involved in it. But yeah, if you work hard towards something, then you will generally move in the direction of achieving it.
So Zuby, you are brilliant at finding opportunities, and there could be people watching who are feeling stuck at home, or maybe they're feeling hopeless, helpless, or maybe they've become jobless because of the pandemic. So what would you like to say to them about finding opportunities in these times?
Yeah, well, firstly, as I said before, you have to maintain hope. Hope is important. Without hope, then life is going to be a disaster. Life is going to be very painful if you don't have hope. There's no point in doing anything if you don't have some hope that things are going to be better in the future than they are right now. In terms of practical advice, I touched on this earlier, but think of how you can be of service to other people, because that's all we do. Whatever job it is that you have, from creative stuff to corporate, to being self-employed, to doing this, doing that, we're all part of this big machine where actually we are helping each other. Everyone's job is in some way, shape, or form to help other people for the most part. And there might be a couple exceptions here. But if you are looking for opportunities, think about firstly, build your skills, of course, but think about the skills and the talents and the experiences that you have. And then think of what product or service you can offer to people that will help them to achieve their goals, right? Help other people to achieve their goals. And that's how you have success. Educate other people, entertain other people, help them with their problems. Every time you hear somebody say, I wish there was, or it would be great if, or, you hear them even complain about something, they're giving you an idea. Every time you hear that, they're giving you a business idea. Anytime you hear, I wish there was, I need this, or I want that. Those are all business ideas, right? What does that person need? What do they want? What do they wish existed? What is it that they need help with? So once you attune yourself and you attune your brain to hear that and to see opportunity, you'll actually start seeing opportunity everywhere. I can come up with 10 business ideas every single day because I'm constantly attuned to see opportunity. And every time that there's an obstacle or there's a problem, it comes with the seed of opportunity as well. So if you can help with that in some way, shape, or form, then you will be rewarded. You'll be rewarded. That's that's all it is. That's how the world works.
That's a really great tip. Help other people to be in service for other people. And then, so what would you consider were the best bits of 2021? What did you learn from last year?
Wow. Me, on a personal level or on a sort of wider level?
However you wish to answer it.
Wow. 2021. I mean, it was actually my most successful year in many ways, despite a lot of flux. I think that on a general level, on a broad sort of global level, I think it was an awakening for a lot of people. I think that due to the whole situation, pandemic response situation, it's caused a lot of people to ask a lot of questions and to challenge narratives and to do a lot of thinking and observation if you are a thinking and observational person. And I think that as much painful or dark stuff as may have been revealed for certain people at various times, it's good to understand the truth and to understand the world. And it's always good to think. Like it's good to think. And I think that people were forced to do so. People were forced to do so if you're trying to understand this whole situation. So I think that we have, despite all the lies and propaganda that have been going around, I think that we've also moved closer to the truth in a way, and we've moved closer to understanding the world and understanding humanity. And I've seen a lot of people being connected, and I'm connected too, and have helped to connect a lot of high consciousness individuals. I think people all over the world are kind of discovering each other and discovering new, powerful, formidable voices. And I think all of that is very positive. From a personal perspective, I was also really able to see firsthand the amount of impact that I'm having on people around the world when I was traveling. I mean, every single city that I went to last year, every city, every country, had people stopping me out in public and thanking me for what I do, thanking me for speaking up, thanking me for my music, my podcast, my interviews, just the stuff I put out there on a daily basis. Having people thank me. Yeah, I did meetups in different cities. That photo there's from Nashville, Tennessee. So just being able to go to any city and just put up a post telling people where I am and have dozens of people, 50, 60, we had up to 100 people at some of these meetups at very short notice. So knowing that I'm bringing all these great people together and that they're able to find value and hope and inspiration in what I do, that's very humbling. And it also signals to me that I'm on the right path with what I'm doing.
Zuby, so how do you speak out your truth? How do you become courageous enough to speak out your truth?
Just say it. Just say it. Just speak. That's all. You've got a mouth. Use it.
Yeah, because some people are worried about how it's going to be taken by other people. So it's like they're worried. So that's why they don't. So how do you get it out?
Well, ask yourself what's more dangerous, doing it or not doing it. Sit with that one and and act accordingly. You see what happens when people stay silent in the face of something that is wrong. or in the face of something that they have discomfort with and they take issues with. This can be on a big level, on a small level. People, you need to speak. And what people imagine up and conjure in their brains in terms of this fear is 99% of the time, it's greater than the reality. People tend to overblow fear. They tend to overblow threats. And I think this is natural to human beings because we're wired for survival. So even something that's a very small threat can be made to feel like it's a huge, life-threatening, catastrophic threat. And there are many powers in the world that prey upon that. I think it's been being preyed upon forever, but very, very much over the past 2 years. So you don't want to just move and live in fear. You also want to think about what do you want the future of the world to look like? If you have children or you're planning on having children, what world do you want them to grow up in? And how are you going to contribute to that? If you have something to say, or there's something you see that's going wrong, you see things trending in a bad direction, you have a moral and an ethical duty, as far as I'm concerned, to say something, to do something within your capacity, right? And we all have the capacity to speak, right? We can't always act on everything. I can't go out there, put on my superhero cape and literally fix every single problem in the world. But I've got a voice, I've got a platform. We've all got a voice, we've all got a platform. You can certainly speak on something, you can certainly have discussions, you can certainly open people's minds up, and that in itself is powerful. And yeah, for me, it's not an option. It's an ethical duty. And I think that also once you start doing it, like everything else, it becomes a habit. So I like, once you're used to it and it's habitual, you'll find that you just do it by default.
So Zuby, what is happening with the world right now?
Oh boy, it depends on where you are, but I think there's a gigantic psychological operation that has been going on. I think we've seen the biggest wealth transfer in history, biggest and fastest. I think that there are powers in the media, politicians, certain corporations who are screwing people over, essentially, and have been for a long time, and have been at a very, very accelerated rate in recent times. They have used the context of a crisis to seize power, wealth, and control that we've never seen in our lifetime. And because people are afraid, and they've been able to instill so much fear and so much hysteria and so much division and worry and anxiety in people for such a long and persistent amount of time, that people are kind of letting it happen. People have become despondent. People have become demoralized, and that puts them in a weak position. If you can scare people, you can control them. That's the tale as old as time, right? If you're afraid of something, then you are controlled by it. That's not always a negative, right? There's certain things you should be fearful of, otherwise you're going to die very quickly. But as I said before, a lot of these fears are not existential, and they're overblown. And if that's the way you live, then there are going to be people, individuals, and entities out there that will take advantage of that. That's just the reality of it. You can see this all throughout history. You can see this all throughout the world. It's nothing new. This is just the latest version of it. It's the latest incarnation. Technology has enabled a lot of it. And so, I simply advocate for liberty. I advocate for people generally being left alone to do their peaceful business and live their lives as they see fit. And one of my biggest issues with this whole thing is that many governments and entities have been pushing for that not to be allowed, not to be permitted. And to me, that's crazy, and it's an inversion of how our lives are supposed to be. It's an inversion of where the power is supposed to lie, and the power still does lie with the individual, and it always has. However, people feel like the conditions have created the situation where less people are sort of believing that. They're sort of feeling like, oh, everything is outsourced, and the government should run and control things that it really shouldn't be running and controlling and having authority over. So that's why I really encourage people to think for themselves, to be sovereign individuals, to question and challenge and speak and debate and discuss. And I'm just trying to get to the truth. That's all it is. I don't have some huge agenda. I'm pro liberty and I'm pro truth. I'm simply trying to understand what is going on. And again, to do that, you have to be able to use your voice.
Zuby, I'm just going to read through the comments of our virtual audience. Tongi Gra is saying, hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Happy Andrade is saying, Happy New Year and amazing show. And now we have a question from Win. And she is asking, what is your view with a vaccine mandate?
100% against it. I think it's totally unethical. I think it's wrong. And I think it's a violation of your basic human rights and freedom, right? No medical procedure should be forced, period. It doesn't matter if it's taking an aspirin or having a surgery or taking an injection, whatever it is, it should always be informed consent. That's a very basic principle, actually, of medicine. And it's a very basic principle of any type of liberal and decent society, as far as I'm concerned.
How about with vaccine passports? What's your take on it?
Same thing, 100% against.
So why do people, wait, what's your rundown in the past 2 years? You were discussing this one earlier about the past 2 years. What do you think is going on within the past 2 years?
Again, I think it's a movement of money, power, and control. Power and control. This is what governments do, right? It's strange that so many people don't understand the nature of governments and the nature of authoritarianism. This is how it operates. And the fastest way to accelerate authoritarianism or totalitarianism is to hijack a crisis. Whether it's real, imaginary, or manufactured, doesn't matter. If you have a crisis and people are afraid, as I said, once people are afraid, you can control them. You can just play them like pawns. So if you can convince people to be afraid of something, whether it's real or it's not, or it's exaggerated or whatever the situation is, then you can exert more power and authority and control, which is what governments typically do. This is what has happened all throughout history for millennia, not even centuries, for millennia. You can go back as far as you want. And that's what people in power do. They seek to expand their power. They seek to have more control and more authority over other individuals. And they don't like to relinquish it once it's there. I mean, even in a democratic country, I mean, it's all just a joust for power, right? When you have what even is an election? It's a battle for who is going to have the power, right? I want the power. No, we want the power. Like everyone wants the power. And then people go and you vote for who's going to have the power, but you're still voting for someone to have that power and that authority. And then, and I mean, that's democracy is considered like the best option here. Like if you just have a monarchy, then, this all just runs through a family, unelected leaders. If you have a straight up dictatorship, then you just have one guy who just goes up there and says, okay, I'm in control of all of you. You're all going to do whatever I say. I make the rules. I own you, one person controlling millions and millions of people. So I'm highly skeptical of governments just in general. I have been for a while. And but I just understand what they do. Just like corporations exist to make money. That's what they do. So if someone is seeing a huge multi-billion-dollar company doing something and you're wondering why they're doing it, it's probably got something to do with making more money, making more profit, because it's a huge corporation. That's literally its job. What does a government do? A government exists to exert authority and power and control. Is that always evil or malicious? No. I think most people agree that some degree of that is necessary, but it should not go to the level of human rights abuses or trampling people's individual rights, dignity, equality, ability to participate in society. shouldn't be forcing medical treatments upon people. Like, this stuff should be obvious, just like they shouldn't be there just attacking people in the streets, right? If government agents are just out there beating people or harassing people or attacking people in the streets, I think we'd all understand, wait, that's a problem, right? If you've just got police officers or government agents running around outside robbing people and kidnapping people, I think we'd all be like, okay, wait, this is a big problem. And this happens in parts of the world. This has happened in parts throughout history. So as the majority, like, the people are always the majority, the citizens, we also have a responsibility to maintain that power balance. I think that governments should be just as afraid of the people, at least as afraid of the people as the people are of the government. But what's happened over the past 2 years is that's been totally inverted, right? So in so many countries now, you can tell and you can see in the politicians' rhetoric, you can hear what they're saying, whatever. It's clear to me. I'm like, okay, these people are not scared. They're no longer afraid of the citizens. There are certain places where they are, which is why they haven't gone as insane with some of this stuff, right? There's a reason why Texas and Florida and Georgia and Tennessee are not in the same situation as Canada and Italy and Australia and New Zealand, right? So that's literally what it comes down to. They will take as much as people are willing to give. And I think that more and more people are cottoning onto this as this goes on and on and on, going into the third year of all this nonsense. But these are just truths I woke up to many, many years ago, decades in some situations. And so I think that's what's been going on. And then there's been so much money at play as well. And when you combine that, like money, control, and power, you're combining all these things together, then you're creating a lot of perverse incentives to keep everything going. And that's why they keep kicking the can down the road, and it won't just, go back to normal per se, because they've got too much to gain from preventing things from going back to normal. And if that means that the average person loses out, then in most cases, they don't really care, because they care about what is beneficial for them. And that's just the reality of it. That's just the reality of it.
What should people do to not get manipulated?
Think for yourself. Don't outsource your thinking, and speak up. There's more of us. There's always more of us. We're talking like it's like 100,000 to 1. I mean, just do what is right. Say what is right. Say what is truthful. Do what is meaningful, not what is expedient, in the words of Jordan Peterson. People need to just stand up and say no. You need to have certain lines that you draw, and certain things that you're not willing to do, certain lines you're not willing to cross. And people need to just stand up and say no. All of this can end tomorrow. Whatever city or country you are in, for some people, life is going to be pretty normal. For some people, they might not even be able to, leave their house right now, according to the government. So I'm a big fan of peaceful non-compliance, right? There's nothing moral about complying with unjust laws or unjust rules, right? Just because something is a rule or is a law doesn't mean that it's right. It doesn't mean it's correct. It doesn't mean it's moral. It doesn't mean it's ethical. Again, you can think of countless examples of these. And so that is the best form of resistance. I would absolutely not recommend any type of aggressive violence or anything like that. Like, that's not where I am. I'm not some violent revolutionary. I'm just saying people need to just live their lives as normal. When I say normal, I mean 2018 normal, 2019 normal. Just go back to living your life as normal. Don't let people just bully you around and push you and pressure you and make you do all this stuff that you don't want to do, and that you were never expected to do before. Just don't play the game, and that's how you win it.
What are the questions that people should ask?
All of them. All of them. There's no, why? Why is always a good question. Why is always a good question. You should know, if somebody wants you to do something or expect something from you, then why is always a reasonable question, right? We aren't automatons. Like, if there's a reason there should always be a good reason to do something. And if someone can't explain the why beyond just because I told you so, then it's probably not a good rule. So those are the questions people should be constantly asking. Why? People should be asking, wait, does this make sense? Or, if something is contradictory, they should be pointing that out. But just keep asking why, and that one question will generally get you down a few layers.
What are the obvious questions not being asked by the mainstream media?
Wow. Well, they completely refuse to talk about China. They completely refuse to talk about the entire continent of Africa. Those are a couple big ones. If we're talking about this particular subject, they refuse to talk about natural immunity. They refuse to explain what their exit strategy is. They refuse to explain the logic or rationale behind most policies. And if things are supposedly about health and safety and keeping people safe, etc., then there's a ton of questions that they have been ignoring, not just now, but for almost 2 years at this point. I've just put out a couple of the big ones right there.
So there has been this term that's been trending on Twitter, this mass formation psychosis. So could you tell us more about it?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm not, I think the concept was coined by Matthias Desmet. He's obviously not the first person to talk about this. This is something people refer to as, mass psychosis or the madness of crowds, moral panics. These things are all combined. Human beings, we are, as much as we're individuals, we're also group animals, right? There's this herd mentality, and people behave differently in groups as they do as individuals. And sometimes that's a great thing. If you've been to a music concert or somewhere where everybody's dancing, or people at, a celebration or something like that, then you feel this, or even a sports game, there's this sort of hive mind, which is fun and enjoyable, and people are coming together and they're doing something all together. And it leads to, I don't know, there's something in our psychology that sort of plays off each other. However, this can also lead to various forms of mob mentality or collective tribalism, which can get extraordinarily dangerous in the worst circumstances. It can become literally genocidal, right? Like that's the worst possible way that this can play out. But on a lesser degree, it can lead to this situation where people are so afraid of stigma or ostracization or not fitting in with the crowd and not complying and sort of being part of this collective, this hive, this mob, where their brains shut down and they stop thinking as individuals, and they stop asking questions, and they stop critical thinking, and they stop questioning their actions. So that is generally how I understand it. It plays into fear as well. Again, if you can apply fear and social pressures and anxiety to huge groups of people, then it takes a minority of people who are especially brave and critical thinking and have certain personality types and will to be able to resist that, and also to challenge it or to speak out against it, because it's always uncomfortable going against a majority. It's uncomfortable. I mean, if you walk in a room with 100 people who are all wearing black and you are wearing red, it feels a little weird, right? There's something you're like, oh, I'm the odd one out. Have I done something wrong? Am I not fitting in? That's like a small, simple example, but that's how the human brain works. There's this desire for conformity. And there are times where that's all well and good, and it's not a bad thing to conform, right? You shouldn't just go against the grain and go against what most people are doing all the time, like for no reason, right? That's equally stupid. But just because everyone else is running off a cliff, it doesn't mean running off a cliff is a good idea. So just because other people are doing something or saying something, it doesn't mean you should not, that's not a sign that you should not do any thinking whatsoever, or you shouldn't question anything. You can take a cue from what other people are doing, but you should still ask the why, right? See what's actually going on and dig in a little bit and make sure that your actions are being driven not simply by what other people are randomly doing, but by what you should be doing and what actually is correct and what makes sense.
Thank you. Well, we have another comment from our virtual audience, Tongi Gra, and he has a question. He's saying, very inspiring. What platform would you recommend to showcase music for beginning composers or music artists?
Probably YouTube. I mean, there's a lot of platforms out there. There's YouTube, there's SoundCloud. Those are two perhaps of the most obvious ones that are open, but YouTube is the second biggest search engine in the world. So I would say YouTube is probably the best one.
What's the first best search engine right now? Is it Google or
Google? Yeah, Google's the biggest search engine in the world. Yeah, has been for a while.
Okay, so on January 11 is International Thank You Day. What are you thankful for?
I'm thankful for God. I'm thankful for my health. I'm thankful for my family, for my friends, for my fans and supporters, and everyone who cares about what I do. I am thankful for the world in general. I'm thankful for opportunities. I'm thankful for the gifts and talents and opportunities that I've been given. I could break those down more, but that covers some of the key ones right there.
Thank you, Zuby. So here's a question about World Humanitarian Drive. World Humanitarian Drive has an Honoring the Honorable initiative to identify and recognize individuals and organizations for their contributions to this world by honoring and awarding them. How important is honoring the honorable initiative in these times?
I think it's always good, give people the roses while they can still smell them. I think that, everything is driven by incentives, speaking broadly. And so it's good to acknowledge and honor and reward people who are doing stuff that is honorable and which is positive and which is good and which helps other people. I think that's just generally a good thing. I think it's positive. I think it's encouraging. I think it's motivating. And I think it leads to more people wanting to behave in that way, if that is what is rewarded and honored by individuals in society.
So Zuby, what are your future projects that you would like to promote? How would our virtual audience get in touch with you?
Sure thing. So you can find me on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, at Zuby Music. That is at ZUBY Music. If you go to teamzuby.com, you can check out my music, my book, my merchandise. And of course, you can find my music and podcasts on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever else you listen. Just search my name, Zuby, Z-U-B-Y, and you will find me.
Zuby, and here's a question that we always ask our guests. What is your inspiring message to the world?
Recognize how much potential you have. You have an unbelievable amount of potential, and you can leave a real mark and a legacy on this world if you choose to. And so I encourage you to find that potential and strive to be as great as you can be. Don't leave so much stuff on the table. Find out how you can be of service to other people and go out there and fulfill your capacity and your capability.
Zuby, thank you so much for your courage, honoring us with your presence, words of wisdom, and inspiring the world with your story. In honor of international recognition for your virtue in persistently serving and inspiring humanity with your noble deeds, World Humanitarian Drive would like to award you, Zuby, with an Inspiring Humanitarian Award.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, and congratulations to you, Zuby.
I appreciate it, Viva. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you so much. And so now we would like to share with you a quote of Zuby. Here's the quote. Could you read it for us, Zuby?
Sure. The sooner you realize you're entirely in charge of your own life, the sooner you'll begin to really live it. If no one is giving you opportunities, then create your own.
Thank you so much, Zuby. And that's also part of your Zuby quotes. You have this hashtag with a Zuby quotes.
Yeah, I haven't been using it for a while, but yeah, I feel like everything I post there could have that hashtag.
So congratulations, Zuby, host of Real Talk with Zuby podcast, rapper, author, podcaster, and coach from the United Kingdom. So thank you so much for sharing with us your time.
You're welcome, Viva.
We hope you enjoyed today's discussion with Zuby, that it motivated you to take better care of yourself and be courageous in speaking your truth. We are living in dark times. We have to be the light. Let's channel the admirable traits we see from others and apply them to ourselves. Let us find the best within ourselves and share it with the world. The world needs us to awaken to our greatness, to not cower in challenges, but to courageously face them and persevere in living our best lives. You have the right to live life the way you choose. It is your right to say no, to refuse to be an experiment. Let's be courageous in speaking our truth. Remember that fear divides, love unites us all. Here on Inspiring Millions Show, we present you with brilliant people from around the world, so feel free to connect with them on social media, and together, let's make a difference in the world. We definitely all need inspiration, especially in these times. Listening to people's stories enrich our lives. If today's discussion inspired you, please like it, share it, send us a comment. Do share with us your takeaways from today. Follow us on our social media accounts. Click subscribe on our YouTube channel, WHD Media. Visit our WHD website, www.whd.org.uk for more inspiring events. Everyone stay safe and healthy. These are times we should strengthen our bodies, minds, emotions, and our faith. Please remember to have compassion. Be kind to yourself, others, and our planet. To our frontliners, we salute you. We thank you for your hard work, sacrifices, and dedication to humanity. WHD would like to greet all those celebrating their birthdays, including Ethel Villanueva, and those celebrating their special milestones this week. Happy celebrations. Have a wonderful weekend. On behalf of WHD team, especially those working behind the scenes, WHD Chairman Dr. Abdul Basit Saeed, WHD Director of Global Operations, Ms. Sarah Wilson, WHD's 12 Honorable Secretary Generals, we thank you, our virtual audience from around the world, for joining us and supporting our show. This has been World Humanitarian Drive's Inspiring Millions Show. I'm Viva Andrada O'Flynn. Please join us again next week. We will have an interesting discussion with Jenny Lynn Ngai, Sun Smart Solar Advocate, Green Advocator, and Rural Artisan of the Philippines, as we inspire the world here on Inspiring Millions Show.